Welcome everybody, I'm RJ of The Nerdy Bruin. Here on this channel, we talk TV, movies, and everything in between, all while drinking a cup of coffee. Now, if you like one of those things, or all of those things, why don't you consider subscribing, and hit that notification bell, and becoming a fellow Brewster. So today, fellow Brewsters, I want to say thank you for stopping by, having this cup of coffee with me. I hope all is well with you. I hope that you had a very good holiday, and I hope you have peace and blessings going into the new year. And we're gonna do a top 10. Now, these top 10 is top 10 favorite shows that I've watched, or best shows of 2024. And as I said, these are my favorite shows. And before I even came up with this list, I was just fully thinking for myself. I was like, this year has not been a very good year for television. Now, there have been some marquee shows that definitely made it on my list, but I haven't been enthralled or fully loved a lot of shows that premiered this year. And certain shows that have premiered are currently ongoing, or they were the best seasons of that particular show. So these are the best shows that premiered in 2024 that I just loved throughout the year. And the thing is, with the list, I had to go through what got released this year, and there's certain things that I forgot, and I was like, oh yeah, I love that show, I love that one, and they beat out a lot of other things that were kind of recent. So this is the list of my favorite top 10 shows of 2024 that came out during this year. So let's just get on to the list. So number 10 is Monsters from Netflix. And Monsters, the Menendez brothers story, that's coming from Ryan Murphy. And Ryan Murphy already was the producer, curator of the show Monster about Jeffrey Dahmer. And this is part of the anthology series, and it's carrying that and bringing a deep dive into what went on with those Menendez brothers, and how that was a particular time that was a media frenzy, and everything that transpired, and also the things in the background that motivated them to do what they did. And if you don't know, these two brothers, they violently unalived their parents, and in that factor, it was the motive behind it. What led to them doing that, and how was their interactions as a family for them to cross that line to do something so egregious. But at the same time, as I said, what was the motive? And the thing is about, I'm gonna make another video about it, but it has something to do with lineage, has something to do with parentage, and has something to do as people, as parents, on how our choices that we make affect our children. And the show, I was invested. It was a binge watch for me on Netflix. And because of the show, it brought light for them to have their case looked at. So that's what we have. Number 10, Monsters, the Eric and Lyle Menendez brothers story. So number 9, Cross. Cross was on Prime. Cross stars Aldous Hodge as Alex Cross, coming from James Patterson. And he has a series of books based off of his character of Alex Cross. Alex Cross was first seen, I'm not going to say first seen because I don't know, but I know Morgan Freeman played him, and I also know Tyler Perry played him as well. And the thing about this show, I don't know if it's coming on from a certain book or whatever, but I'm a fan of Aldous Hodge. Aldous Hodge was my first recollection of him was in Big Mama's House 2. He was one of the little boys playing on the court, and his brother was there as well. And then I know him from Leverage, and then being on Leverage, he was the tech. He was the tech guy for the team. And the thing about that character was he was very super skinny during that time. But now, he got on that age weight. He hit that gym, and now he's super swollen. He's doing what he's doing. And it was a very good show, and I loved him in it. And I felt like he was the anchor carrying that show. And the thing about him carrying the show, something I brought to my attention, is that her story wasn't very compelling, and the one thing that has been a criticism is that none of his friends allowed him to mourn because he goes through a family member's death, and a lot of people in his inner circle are telling him to move on, and he attempts to move on, but he was a witness to that event. So that's still fresh with him only a year later. It's not 5 years later. It's not 6. It's not a long period of time. And so that event, 12 months is not really that long. Even though we're going into the new year, 12 months ain't really that long. A lot of people say that you can do this and do that in certain amount of time, blah, say, blah, blah, say, blah. Not everybody got those same factors. Everybody's journey in their life is totally different. So certain things don't happen as fast as they should. So with everybody trying to do that, I think that is trying to make him move on was a negative for me. But other than that, I love the show. I love the storytelling. I loved everything that they tried to do to make an engaging show. And as I said, I love Eldest Hodge in it. Mustafa, Isaiah, the Old Spice Man. The Old Spice Man.
Hello, ladies. Look at your man. Now back to me. Now back at your man. Now back to me. Sadly, he isn't me. But if he stopped using lady-scented body wash and switched to Old Spice, he could smell like he's me. Look down. Back up. Where are you? You're on a boat with the man your man could smell like. What's in your hand? Back at me. I have it. It's an oyster with 2 tickets to that thing you love. Look again. The tickets are now diamonds. Anything is possible when your man smells like Old Spice and not a lady. I'm on a horse.
I enjoyed him as a best friend in that role. And yeah, the show was really good. I was engaged from episode to episode to keep watching. And Prime has this thing of adapting these books. And so far, I like Reacher. Yeah, that's that. So I definitely enjoyed number 9, Cross. Number 8, The Brother's Son on Netflix. Now, The Brother's Son starred Michelle Yeoh. And I just really love this show. The thing about the show, the premise, the premise around the show is that there's an older brother, and he's the heir to a gang like the Triads or like the criminal Chinese mob. He's an heir to that. His father's involved. And there's an attempt on his father's life from a rival gang. His family, his mother and his younger brother, are in America. And because of that, he's trying to figure out, who's in cahoots and what happened and why there's an attempt on his father's life. And he's the one that has been molded to be who's next to take over this criminal organization. And the thing is, he comes here and his mom and his brother fully Americanized, westernized, domesticated. The little brother is in college. And he got a small nudge of dirt on him, but he's not a dirty character. And then he gets thrown and thrusted into this world, and it's kind of like their dynamics of like this older brother who's got an edge, and then you got this younger brother who's a nerd, and their relationship is very endearing, and it just shows that the importance of siblings and bonding and lineage and how to think of like expectations that are thrown upon you, these kind of factors. And the action was really good, the comedy was really good, the family interactions were really good, the storytelling of what's deeper, the plot, the depth of everything that's going on was really good. And I'm so mad, like it was a highlight to me, and I really loved it. And I feel like as a double feature, like if you got done watching Warrior, that's on Netflix, but it started out on HBO Max, Cinemax. That's a good follow-up, is The Brother's Son. And it sucks that these great, I got a thing, an affinity to just go into the Asian crime world, and I just think that's fascinating storytelling. And I just really feel like the show Warrior and the show The Brother's Son, unfortunately they got canceled, and I hate that Netflix, like if a show isn't Squid Games or if a show is not Stranger Things, if it's not this phenomenon off the bat, like they just canceling it. And I just need shows to breathe, find their audience, word of mouth, then it could grow. And that's what happened to the show Power. It started off like I was there before it even blew up. Like I was telling, like when it had only 200,000 views like per episode or the season or whatever, like I was telling friends like, yo, this show Power on Stars is pretty dope. And they're like, I don't know, it's coming from 50 Cent, we don't know if it's good. And then what they ended up doing, having Sunday Power watch parties, like it ended up becoming a thing. So if you just allow your show to find its audience, allow your show to breathe, then it could garner the attention that it deserves. And the thing is, The Brother's Son was one of those shows. If there's a hashtag to bring the Brother's Son back, then I would love that. That was my number 8, The Brother's Son. Now to number 7, Domino Day. Domino Day was on AMC Plus. And Domino Day is about a witch, a girl, she's a lone witch by herself, and she has these extraordinary powers that she can't necessarily control. But the thing about her powers is that she's stealing energy, life source, souls out of individuals. And there's a coven that know about her, but she's a lone witch. She doesn't have a coven. She doesn't have people that she's rolling with, and they take an interest to her. But the thing is about her being so powerful by herself, the other witch government powers get involved trying to, there's also malevolent witches out there, or individuals with magic abilities that want her for her power too. So that's kind of like the trifecta of everybody trying to get into her life. And she's a young girl trying to figure out life on her own, not only with her powers, but also to manage in man's world. And I just love that show. And the thing is, there's a vocal argument within the Black community about like, how come we can't see fantasy with our faces in it, right? And it's rare and it's in between, because a lot of fantasy, high fantasy, is a lot of Caucasian faces or European ethnicity, and it's usually just held there. There are shows out there, but it doesn't really cater to everybody's sensibilities. And Domino Day is just one of those shows. And the thing is, like, I'll give you an example of a witch, Bonnie from the Vampire Diaries, right? She got a bad flack. She didn't really have a full story, and she got put on the back burner, and she always went through suffering. And the thing is, the opposite of Domino Day is that all the witches are dealing with the circumstances, but they're all people. They're all people, and they're living in this fantastical world. And I just feel like, and it's modern day. It's based modern day as well. And I felt like when it comes to those kind of matter sensibilities, it really was a good show. It was only 6 episodes. Once again, Domino Day is number 7 on AMC Plus. Please, I recommend it. It was one of my favorite shows of last year or this past year, so go watch that. Number 6, Eric. Now, Eric stars Benedict Cumberbatch. It's coming out of Netflix, and the show premiered middle of this year, and I absolutely love this show. And the thing about Eric, so Eric, the premise, the minor review of the show was that he was a dad. He was like a Jim Henson kind of character on a show that was similar to like Sesame Street, and he was like the curator, the brains behind it, and he loved his son. And in the show, him loving his son, he was a grump. He was a grumpy kind of dude, and like all the other pressures of life was weighing on him, and he didn't process it, and he externally was upset to his wife and to his son. And also, he just had a sense of ignorance about certain matters because he was just wrapped up in his own mind and his own issues. And the thing is, his son goes missing, and he created this character. Matter of fact, his son created a character for the show, and he took that creation and made him a living thing. And the entirety of the show was that he was trying to find his son, who his son goes missing, and the adventures and the people and the circumstances that they go through about them growing their relationship with one another, growing as people, and also understanding like certain values. And I just felt like it was a real good show. I don't want to talk too much to spoil it, but he gets wrapped up in his own head, and the character becomes a character in itself within the story that his son ended up creating. And I just felt like I thought it was captivating, I thought it was endearing, and I thought that the performance from Benedict Cumberbatch was a standout performance. And I loved, for me, I love interpersonal stories when it comes to family dynamics, and I just felt like that was a good show for all of that to turn out, and I enjoyed it. And so my number 6, Eric, on Netflix, you should watch that. Number 5, The Gentleman. Now, The Gentleman is another Netflix show, and it stars Theo James, and I just love that show. And I love the movie, and I love the world and the things that come out of Guy Ritchie. And I'm a Guy Ritchie stan. I think I did not watch the movie that he made with his ex-wife Madonna, but other than that, I just feel like he doesn't fail. I feel like everything that he does, like, he turns into gold. Like, I love The Covenant. I loved Lock, Stock, and Barrel, and I love that. I love Snatch. I love the work that he does. I love Rock and Roller, and that's one of like his lesser loved films, and I love that one too. And he just hits the notes when it comes to crime dramas or British crime dramas. Like, that's his bag, and he's good in it. I love Aladdin as well. So it has the namesake from his show, from the movie, The Gentleman. Kind of got the same elements, but not the same characters. And Theo James stars as a son who inherited an estate from their father, and the family is a well-to-do, well-off, fully, wealthy family. The problem is with this family is that they want to keep their wealth. They don't have enough funding for the lifestyle that they live. So the son dibbles and dabbles into the criminal element, and he's trying to get his head above water because that's not really the world that he is familiar with. And that's pretty much the premise of the show. His brother is involved in the show, and they're just trying to get out, trying to survive, and trying to keep their family at the status quo. And it has all the Guy Ritchie-isms. Juan Carlo Esposito is in the show. He always knocks it out the park by giving a good performance. So I definitely gotta say that The Gentleman is in my top 5 of the show of the year, and I enjoyed it, and I recommend it for you. The Gentleman. Number 4 is Fallout. And so the thing about Fallout is based off of the video game property, and I don't have any attachment to the video game property, so I'm just watching it as a show all in itself, and I enjoyed it. So I don't have any background information on the lore, but I just thought it was a fun show. Walter Goggins, he played the character called the Ghoul, and also Ella Parnell, she played the main character of Lucy. And just seeing, they give the backstory of how the world is after a fallout of a nuclear event. And there's things that are mutated. There's a government military, and they got mech machines and stuff, and they got Denzel Boyega, and he's a character, and he's trying to play it off and deal with Lucy when he's actually just a rookie. And just the weird things that they go through, and the different people that they meet, and also just the relationships that they got. Like Lucy and the Ghoul, they have to end up being together just for the show, just for the sake of the show, but he's like a bounty hunter. So those kind of things are a factor in just learning about the discovery about how things turned out to be. And also just the aesthetic of the show, just how the show looked. Like, I enjoyed how, the props, the atmosphere, just the compositing of how things look. I felt like it was a well-produced production of a show, and I enjoyed everything about it. Yeah, it was fun. It was a fun show, and it has me that I want to, delve into the games when I'm ready for a game system. I currently don't have one. TV and movies and coming here talking coffee is my deal. That is my entertainment system right now. And like, share, comment, and subscribe if you enjoy all of those things. But now back onto the list. let's go on to number 3. So number 3 is Supercell. Supercell came out at the beginning of the year, and the thing about Supercell, everybody did a review on Supercell. I didn't do a review on Supercell. The reason why I didn't do a review on Supercell is because I didn't want to get lost in the sauce. I definitely know how the algorithm works. It hasn't worked in my benefit as of yet, but it's not about that. It's about connecting and talking with everybody. But it still was a highlight of a show that I ended up loving. And the thing is, it's like a mix of Top Boy and Heroes. If you remember the show Heroes from the 90s, or not the 90s, when the mid 2000s, Heroes. It's a blending of that. And just as I said earlier when I spoke about Domino Day, there's just this longing of wanting us to be a full group inside of these fantastical stories. And I love the element of like they're everyday regular people. Mr. I gotta cut your water off. I can't remember his name, but the dude from BMF is in that show. And you know, he's a single father, and he has a criminal background, and he is trying to find a job, secure a job, but then certain situations make him part of this extraordinary world. And all of these characters who are just mundane, living together, trying to figure out life. I'm not saying that they live together like living single, but they live like they live in the hood. You know what I'm saying? They live in the London hood. They're middle class, and they're just trying to figure out life. And then you get bestowed these powers, and these powers are put upon them. And I just definitely enjoyed. I enjoyed the super heroics, the super fanfare. I loved it. I love seeing black faces on the show. I'm not gonna lie about that. And I loved the interpersonal stories that they brought up, and that different, and then bringing that culture, that British culture, that British black culture, because it's totally different than American black culture. And I just love that they just intertwine with it. But at the same time, it's still a universal story of trying to figure out life. And then sometimes there are circumstances that are bigger than you. And so that's why I feel like the show is still relatable. And it was just a very good, well done show. So number 24 for 2024, Supercell is my top 3. So my number 2 is Shogun. And the thing about Shogun, this is funny about Shogun. Shogun, I always contemplated for the rest of the year, what was that gonna be? What was my 1 or 2 gonna be? And Shogun out of 1 and 2 has always been that thing of like, where is it gonna land at? So Shogun was worthy enough to be number 1. But yeah, first of all, Shogun had Hiroyuki Sanada, and I love Hiroyuki Sanada and everything he does. Like, he is one of those actors that just elevates every project that he's a part of. Shoot, even him in that short 2-minute scene, maybe even less, maybe 30 seconds, him in Endgame fighting Ronin, who was Jeremy Renner's character. Great. It's just great seeing him in a Yakuza, you know? He was great in Westworld. He was great in Last Ship. He was great in The Last Samurai. He's a fantastic actor, and him being this lead of this power, you know, they call it the Shogun, but I'm gonna call him a king. He was a king in his own right. And you know, the political gain and the machinations that he played, and then like there's Cosmo Jarvis. He played John Blackthorne, this British man who ends up getting thrown in this world, and just the character dynamics and the relationships that he builds, and just seeing how, I'm gonna just say, like, the political intrigue within this show was so sharp. The production quality of the show was so rich. The acting of the show was stellar performances. And the girl in the show, Anna Swawi, right? I don't know how to pronounce her name, I never heard it, but she ended up winning an Emmy for her performance, which is worthy of it because she was an anchor to all these characters in the show. And yeah, I loved it. I love the costumes. I love the cinematography. I love the storytelling. Everything about that show. And I was engaged week after week of watching that show. You can find it on Hulu if you want to binge it now. But definitely Shogun was my number 2 show of the year. I highly recommend it. And you know, anybody needs something to watch, please come back to the channel, scroll through and see what I'm talking about, because I give great recommendations for shows. I do. If you ever need something to watch, come hit back the channel, you know, or holler at me at my socials or whatever if you need something to watch. But yeah, holler at me. But yeah, number 2, Shogun. So my number 1 favorite show of this year was Penguin. Now, you made it this far. Let's take time to talk. So first I want to set up this premise was I didn't like the Batman that much. You could check out the review. It's on the channel of the Batman. But pretty much I love the aesthetics of the show. I love the cinematography, of the Batman. But as I said about the Batman, it just wasn't for me. There was other movies that it pulled from, other storytelling, other tropes and things that it pulled from to craft its own story. And I know it looks good for a cinematic Batman. I wasn't crazy about it. I thought it was a well done movie, but it didn't blow me away like other films. Like, I wasn't in love with it like I thought that I should be in love with it. And yeah, so those are my thoughts about the Batman. And so going into the Penguin, Colin Farrell was my favorite thing out of the Batman. I loved him in the Batman, and just even that, definitely a supporting character in that movie, and just his swagger, his ideas about living that life, and accepting the reality of things. Like, I just love that he just embodied that. And then the show, which was on HBO or Max, was allowed to grow that out. And then the show takes place a week after those events of the movie, and the show made me appreciate the movie more. And just seeing what the political or the gangster machinations that we went through, and I love the show, was like, do not forget that this man is a villain. Just because, like, he is definitely flawed and he's a human, like, humans can be pieces as well. And I just definitely love that the show never forgot that from from his youth, that he was like, yo, I'm gonna do what I do for me and how I want things to be done. And like, that's pretty much his motivation the entire time. Like, he is goal-oriented, goal-minded, and he's willing to cross so many lines to do that. And then breaking down, they have Sophia Falcone, played by that wonderful actress. I don't know her name. Let me know her name down in the comments below. But if she doesn't win an award, these award seasons coming up for 2024 from 2025, like coming up, then like those governing bodies did a disservice. If she's not even nominated, like what she did of breaking down that character, of the mental anguish that she goes through, and then to be reborn into being somebody different and navigating this world and being somebody, like, she's on the brink, she's between fragile and insane, and she just played that fine line just brilliantly. Yeah, everything about it, the costumes, just think about the makeup work of Colin Farrell. Like, he's unrecognizable. Like, if you didn't, like, he's unrecognizable. Colin Farrell is a handsome dude, and then you got the Penguin. And then, like, you know, and then the character, the Penguin, like, from where he was as a child to who he is as a grown man, you like, yo, you did a lot of living. You got a lot of city miles on your face, my guy. And it's like what they did for that makeup and just building out the world of this dark, you know, this gothic, you know, New Jersey, Seattle type, you know, Seven, like the movie Seven type of Gotham City. Super brilliant, and just like the political underworld, you know, eyes on the prize for Oswald Cobblepot. And I've always wanted to see the rise of Penguin. Well, they kind of did it in Gotham, but sometimes Gotham got a lot of theatrical. And this show here in the Penguin was definitely dramatic, grounded, gritty, and everything about it was just, to me, a perfect show. And I did teeter-totter between how I felt, between Shogun and the Penguin. But overall, me being a comic book fan and loving Colin Farrell from the Penguin or from the Batman, the show just elevated it. And definitely the actress who plays Sophia Falcone, just a wonderful performance, and having great actors. You know, Mark Strong is knocking it out the park as being just this great supporting actor who comes to work and he elevates his roles as well. So yeah, there's that. So those are my top 10. I guess that's my list. I'm gonna bring this video to an end. Before I sign off, don't you like, share, comment, and subscribe to stay tuned for when I do the top best movies of this year, my favorites. And I would love to sit down and have another cup of coffee with you. I got merch for sale. Link is down in the description. That's what the video is sponsored by, is my own merch. But I just want to say thank you for stopping by once again. And I'm glad to see you. And hopefully we can visit next time. And if you want to keep visiting, check out the next video here. And I want you to be you, do you, see the bigger picture. Have a fantastic day, because you deserve it. This is That Channel. Peace.
Mouth on top, Kung Fu, Bruce Lee chop, moon rocks, go Red Sox, tryna go far like Boondocks, headshot, blunt stay high, talking shit, gotta pull up on they block, you fraud, I'm Couchgod, know you got a tax like a state charge, safe house, safe house, safe house.